Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. As you saw in my thumbnail, we were talking about Andy Ruiz once in. What do he want in on? He wants in on getting a belt. He wants in on Tyson Fury's territory. But let's turn to Welcome back. Welcome back to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. We're going to shout out to Eric Gomez with the Bomb Squad. Salute to you, King. I put the link in the chat. Today is Wednesday. And remember, I said anybody who wants to talk about MMA, please join in. I put the link in the chat for you. And you could come in and help us learn. I'm starting my journey on trying to watch MMA. For years, I avoided it because I thought it was just too, I'm going to say vulgar. But, listening to some of the fellas when I go to you guys' channel, I'm like, okay, give it a chance, Miss T. So that's what I'm doing. As always, start off with the water check. I'm a little bit behind the times today. This is my 9th bottle. But I will get through that and then some. PGH Big Dog is in the building. What's popping, King? He says, salute Queen T. Salute to you too. But until somebody come in and talk about the MMA stuff, things I want to know is like, where do I start? How do I acclimate myself into it? Like I don't even know the rules, regulations. I don't know the moves, the proper moves you can do. That's what I mean by rules and regulations. So I need to start from the bottom and work my way up. So I'm sure there's a lot of you guys who come to my channel who knows MMA and stuff. You could give me an assignment. Like, I'm not paying for no fight, not just yet. Because I only pay for fights if I'm a true fan. But it might be some free ones on TV that y'all can steer me in the direction of to get me started. But as I say, y'all can chime in. How much water did you drink? 9. 9. But as y'all saw the thumbnail, Andy Ruiz once in. PGH Big Dog saying Andy Ruiz is on that Canelo. I can't tell what that Steak. Yeah, oh, he on that Canelo meat. He gonna be a real problem in his next fight. Indeed, I think so too. I think he ready. I think him and Ryan had to get used to drinking the scissor. You know what I mean? I don't think they just acclimated real fast to it. I think they just had to stick with it. Um, and now they probably ready to showcase their new and improved talents. That's what I'm thinking. But Andy Ruiz Jr. is interested in fighting Tyson Fury, right? He wants to fight him next, and they projecting like sometime in March and April. But he wants to do it for a title. And this is like another episode or an update of As Boxing Turns. It's like a soap opera. It's starting to be like a real life soap opera. So he wants to do it for a title. Now I told you in my previous videos this week that Tyson wants to do it. He wants to move on. He's not necessarily interested in Dillian White, which is his mandatory. He wants to fight somebody else. I have my reasons why I think he don't want to fight, but he wants to fight somebody else, and he wants to do it for the ring title, which nobody cares about the ring title. You can be undisputed and not be a ring, have the ring title. This is something that Oscar De La Hoya made up during the height of his promotional career. What I don't know when he made the damn thing up. It was like a part of the Ring magazine. It was just something that they dubbed rankings or whatever for people in the boxing world as a part of their articles or their magazine. And now all of a sudden it's they trying to make us feel as boxing fans like this is a legitimate title. Before ring titles can become a legitimate title that means something or has teeth, I think the IBO will have something to say about that because they've been around longer and they don't even have real teeth. You know what I'm saying? They're a title, they're legitimate, but they're not part of what you need to become undisputed. And it's kind of crazy for them to suggest that, hey, I'm gonna fight in March. I'm not waiting for Dillian, and I'm gonna fight for a ring title. If I was a heavyweight, I'd be like, no, you're gonna fight for that WBC strap you got on. That's what you're gonna fight for. I don't even know how you do that. Now, there's a small part of me that vaguely remembers, and I could be remembering wrong because I was a child, that even with all the belts that you have, you could choose what belts you're fighting for. Like you can have 3 belts. And it seemed like you could be like, well, I'm gonna fight for just this one belt. I thought that happened in boxing. I could be wrong. Again, I was young and that's how I thought it went. But nowadays it's like if you have titles and you sign up to fight, them titles are on the line. Why would anybody want to fight you if not for the titles? Why would you fight a champion? And if you beat that champion, he's still a champion. That's basically what they're saying. That Tyson Fury can go do what he want, fight people, and still maintain being a champion. No, that cannot be the case, and that cannot be right. Any fighter who fights him will want to fight for the title, not the ring, and not the ring title, because that's not a real title. Let me turn my phone on. Andy Ruiz was on Fury's short list to be, just to let y'all know. He was one of the guys that Fury had said, between him and Hellenius. Now, Hellenius is not even in the top 5 ranking. I don't even know if he's top 10. I don't think he is. But those are 2 that Tyson Fury picked. Now, if he's the creme de la creme, why are you reaching down when you have things to reach up for? You have a mandatory that you have to face. Can't do nothing about it because the other titles are held by Alexander Usyk, who has a rematch with AJ probably after March or April. So Tyson Fury has had plenty of time since Deontay's fight, his and Deontay's fight back in October, to go ahead and do another fight by now. His time is coming up. And he's choosing to avoid his mandatory. That don't make sense. If he don't fight his mandatory, he should be stripped. All fair in love and boxing. If it's fair, if you're doing it to others, then you should do it to him. So that's how it should be. To all the casuals who are watching, that's how it should be. Shout out to all my Facebookers who are watching. You can come into the chat, hit the live icon. You could call in 706 804 4449. That's 706 804 4449. You can hit the link in the chat and beam in. We could discuss it. How y'all feel about that? You could chime in the chat, because Tyson Fury is making up rules as they go. And once again, the WBC is there to help him. I don't know what their fascination is with Tyson Fury. They accomplished their goal. They dethroned the king. That's what it was about, right? Any white man to do. Even a scrupulous person like damn Tyson Fury. A charlatan, a grifter that he is. Any white man would do when it came to Deontay Wilder. But Andy Ruiz is hell-bent on putting his hat in the race. And if he's sipping on that scissor, as we think he is, I seen a picture of him. I was trying to save it and post it up here, where he actually got a nice little chest area. He got muscles, like little, it ain't profound, but you can see the ridges in his stomach muscles. And I was like, wow, how was he able to do that? He couldn't do it before, but I guess when you link up with Canelo and their team, Eddie Renuso and all them, you could do amazing things. So, he's putting his hat in the race. And no matter who he chooses to fight, talking about Tyson, he won't make no money. And that's the thing, y'all. Everybody always talk about the business and this, that, and the other. And I'm notorious for saying I don't pocket watch. But I will comment on whether or not, it's beneficial. When you're going outside of the norm, or where you think you should, where we think you should be going. And it's not me trying to say, as fans, we get to tell these people what to do in their career. But you have a championship belt. Other people want that belt. It just so happened that you fall into the groove where you have to defend that belt. And it's only fair to give the mandatory the opportunity first before you start giving it to everybody else. So it wouldn't matter what we thought as fans. That's the proper way to go. It's the fair way. I don't like taco meat. Y'all know I call him taco meat. I don't like him. Dillian White. That's who I'm referring to. He's a heavyweight boxer. And I just don't like him. He's a cheat. And y'all know how I feel about cheaters. But they allow him to still box. With all his past things that he's done and all. It didn't matter. He is still an active fighter. And if he's still an active fighter, there's rules, regulation, and protocol to be met. It is only fair that he gets his opportunity to enact his mandatory, or activate his mandatory. If he's the mandatory, it's fair for him to fight Tyson Fury. It is unfair to cheat him out of his opportunity. That's what's unfair. And that's exactly what Tyson Fury and his team is trying to do, along with Bob Arum. Bob and them get into the business part of it. Bob is notorious for talking about people like Bud Crawford, talking about how he lost money with Bud Crawford, but as if he didn't lose no money with Tyson Fury. Even though Tyson Fury made a lot of money during the Deontay Wilder fight, it's that in between shit that he lost money with. You know, he not even making money with Lomachenko, but it's almost like I said, a soap opera, a popularity contest. Is when boxing is moving closer and closer to being a beauty pageant or a popularity contest. Whoever's popular, whoever looks good, is gonna catch the favor. We're gonna throw out whoever works hard, whoever deserves it, whoever earned it. We throwing out those principles and replacing it with superficial principles. They're not even principles, but that's what's going on. And Tyson Fury is going to get away with it because he did the boxing powers that be a favor by dethroning the king. So whatever he wants, he'll get to do until they get tired of him, until they find a more appeasing king that they can get behind and thinking that we all can get behind. But that's the problem. That's the problem with boxing. If Andy Ruiz wanted a fight, why is he just now saying it? If he know today that he wants to fight, he knew last month that he wanted to fight. And probably the month before. But you know, when they drinking that tea, they need that time to cycle off. And that's what I'm thinking is going on. Because if the fight is going to take place in March, that's 3 months from now. Kind of sound like Canelo, right? September, he agrees. So you got the rest of September, October, November, couple of months. And that's what it seemed like Andy is doing. Until they sign papers, ain't no fight. He's speaking now. So what's going to happen? They're going to have to sign these papers. Once they sign these papers, then they can set the date in March. Because the date's supposed to go down in March. Now, at the same time, Tyson Fury is trying to say, well, look, Dillian White has an arbitration problem. And we're not going to wait for him. We're not obligated to wait for him. That is the legitimate justification that they're trying to use. I don't know how legitimate it is, but that's what they're trying to use to justify why he's going to pick somebody else. It has nothing to do with I don't want to wait. Sure, you want to wait, Tyson. You're lazy. You're engaging in your normal routines, drinking, and God knows what else. Sure, you can wait. You made us wait, but that's your reason. I'm not gonna wait for him. I gotta get on with my life. So you're making it or putting the emphasis on the month of March by even coming up with that bullshit excuse about the arbitration thing. So since you locked yourself into March, here come everybody out the woodworks like an Andy Ruiz. Am I blaming Andy for wanting to have a fight to go for a title fight? No. But I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid either. I do feel like Andy is suspect, but I don't care. I personally don't care. If he fight Tyson, I hope he wins. I hope he wins. But just out of fairness, and as y'all know, I do not care for taco meat. It's only fair that this man get his opportunity because he is the mandatory. If it was Deontay Wilder, I would say, Deontay, hey, you have to get this man his opportunity if he's the mandatory. But see, when Deontay had the belt, Dillian could have activated his mandatory, but he didn't. And that tells me you didn't want to fight Tyson Fury. You didn't want to fight Deontay Wilder. Sorry, I looked at something. You ain't want to fight him. It's just sounding like a soap opera to me. You know, the emphasis is on March because we don't want to wait for Dillian. Cool. Don't wait for Dillian. So who you gonna fight in March? Now, Tyson did have Andy Ruiz on his short list. Him and Hellenius. Those are two people names that they offered up. There's a reason why they picked them. But again, if Andy got in the Canelo camp and was doing win in Rome as Romans do, then they deserve each other. That's how I see it. Same way I be talking about Dillian and Tyson. They deserve each other. But no matter who fights Tyson, ain't gonna be no for the ring title. That's bullshit. Don't you casuals fall for that. If he has a title and somebody fights him, they're fighting for that title. Well, it's a waste of time. Why would you fight somebody for nothing? Bob is his promoter. If you're an opponent, you're not gonna make that much money with Bob. You ain't gonna get paid worth a damn. Even though you're fighting supposedly the top heavyweight in the world. Yeah, Usyk has the belts, but let his fans tell it. That's just temporary. Once that whole thing get dealt with AJ and Usyk, Tyson the real man. He's real. He's the real creme de la creme. So if you the creme de la creme, why are you making excuses? What is it about taco meat that you're scared of? I'll be curious to know. Do anybody have any ideas? If you do, chime in. What is it about taco meat that scares Tyson Fury? My theory was they both cheaters. People who are like that do not like to deal with people that's just like them. They don't like a cheater like a Tyson Fury would rather deal with a bunny rabbit. He would rather deal with somebody who's honest, got integrity on the straight up and up because it's a win-win. There's no limits to their cheating. There's no limits to what they'll do. So it's all win-win for them. But they don't like to deal with people that's just like them. That would throw all shit out the window just for the win. All integrity, all morals, all any of that out the window just for the win. And Tyson will have to deal with that when he faced Dillian White. And yeah, I pick with him and I call him taco meat because his little peasy little hairs on his face and chest be looking like taco meat from a distance. Ugh, yuck. Comb that shit. Cut it or something. But that's what I call him. I have no respect for him because he don't have no respect for himself. He be cheating and he gets away with it. If you got the right people, powerful people in your corner, you can do just about anything in boxing. But is the WBC cake for him? It really is getting to this point where I can see why people say that belt is trash. Get rid of the WBC belt. I'm starting to really, really feel like that. I would not be mad if a fighter feel that they can't do that. They don't want to do it. If I say WBC is trash, that means across the board. That means that belt right there. Nope. I don't think even if Deontay had it, I would say the belt is trash. And y'all know how I feel about Deontay Wilder. I would want Gary Russell Jr. and I'm a big fan of his to trash that belt. I mean, that's how we can get to feel because it has no meaning behind it. It's starting to not have any legitimacy behind it. I just it's amazing to me how the fighters themselves don't have as much control over their career as they would like to. I mean, we all get it. Like business is business. Contracts, you sign your life away, you don't sign your life away. Whatever you sign, you're obligated to it. But when you start injecting yourself in the mix, whereas you're orchestrating who's fighting next, what fight gonna go down and where, and for what stakes. To me, you guys then stop being a nonprofit. All of you. The only people I can't really say nothing about as of today is the IBF. I don't see them doing this shit. You got the WBO playing tomfoolery games. Damn sure the WBC. And the WBA got caught red-handed. So, then they got their favorites. Tyson did them a solid. So he's going to be their favorite for a while. He talking about these fights. One of them could be held. Like if it's Andy Ruiz, it could be held in the States. Where else is going to be held? Like he has options. This dude don't have no options. Tyson Fury does not have options, y'all. He still don't have his license to box in the UK. So I guess they figuring if we get him a good fight and that fight is going to make money, then we go ahead and just disregard this ban that he got on him because look at all the money we're going to make. Integrity has to come back to boxing. It just does. And I'll be the last person to try to rep or speak up for taco meat. But in this situation, he has a point. I don't care about his 55 and 45 split. Again, go behind closed doors, figure that shit out. I don't give a damn. But Tyson owes him a fight. If Tyson didn't want to owe him a fight, he should have never fought Deontay Wilder. And I'm talking about from the beginning. Once you get a belt, once you become a champion, you become the hot ticket item. Everybody will aspire to want to face you. Tyson knows that. He's a grown-ass man. Dillian feels that he can break the code of Tyson Fury. Dillian can box. He can. I don't know if he's falling off because he's getting older, but he could box. If he get in shape, he can give Tyson Fury a run for his money because they both can box. The weight is not going to be an issue for Dillian like it was for Deontay. Deontay is a big guy, but he's a naturally thin guy. Dillian is a big guy. Tyson likes to balloon up and use his weight against his opponents. What's amazing about Tyson Fury is that he can move around for somebody that damn big. Usually, when you find a heavyweight that's weighing like 275, 280, they slow. They slow moving. And about second or third round, they done. Not Tyson Fury. So that is the gift that he has. Because not too many people can do that type shit. But that's his gift. But anywho, Dillian wants it. Andy Ruiz wants in. But none of them, keep in mind that none of them, not Fury, not Dillian, not Ruiz, not Helenius, none of them bring in any revenue. They just don't. And if that's your bottom line, then you're picking the wrong team. So in this situation, they should just stick with what's mandatory. What's on the docket anyway. What's mandatory is that Tyson Fury face Dillian White. It ain't gonna make money anyway. I don't care. If it's pay-per-view, I'm not buying it. If it costs me anything, I'm not buying it. But if it's on free TV, I'll check it out. I certainly will. Why? Because I'm following the belt more than I'm following the guy. Because it's getting to that point, you're following the belts. But then the belts are becoming meaningless. They're becoming meaningless because there's all this corruption to go with that. But that's what's going on. That's the update with the Tyson Fury thing. March is around the corner. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. January, February, March. Hop, skip, and a jump. And March will be upon us real soon. He doesn't have a date. Talking about Tyson Fury. He's gonna have to make a decision. If March passes and he hasn't fought, then that bullshit that he was talking about why he couldn't fight Dillian doesn't hold up. And I want y'all to keep your eye on it. Remember, he can't fight Dillian because he don't want to wait. He wants to chop it up with somebody to keep himself, I guess, active because he's waiting for the AJ Usyk fight. Now, could he wait? He could potentially wait. But he has a mandatory and have had one for a minute. Remember? He had mandatories before Deontay won his arbitration. He was trying to move on then. So that tells me whenever Tyson Fury is a little resistance, we all got to say in our head what shitstorm he's preparing us for, because it's going to be some shit. It's going to be some cheating that we probably never seen before. So it's coming. It's coming. So I just want y'all to, I just peep that, and I want y'all to keep that in mind. He's making up some hellified excuses not to face taco meat, claiming he's not waiting. He doesn't want to wait. And instead, listen, look, y'all, I don't feel like waiting because this could be a year or two. I got to move on with my career. But I tell y'all what I do. I'll fight some people, but it won't be for the belt. I'll fight for this fugazi ass Ring Magazine title that don't mean shit to nobody in the grand scheme of things when you talk about somebody's career. Like, have they achieved this or have they achieved that? But I'll fight for that title, but I won't fight for nothing else. I won't fight for my lineal. I won't fight for my WBC title. How you gonna do that? How you gonna do that? So if you don't give Andy the fight in March, then again that excuse you using for taco meat doesn't hold water. Be on the lookout for that, because that's what I'm peeping. It's an excuse. What he scared of, I don't know. What he thinking he could get away with, I don't know. Maybe he feel like, you know what, fucking over a black man is going to be a lot easier than fucking over these Latinos, because Andy Ruiz is Mexican. He's Mexican American, but he is Mexican. He is in the Canelo's camp. He will carry favor with Mauricio Suleiman, aka Mr. Canton. So y'all see what I'm going? So the WBC between him and a Mexican, they're gonna choose a Mexican. He knows it. He knows it. And if he's able to get away with pushing off Mauricio Suleiman or pushing him in his direction, or it's almost like he gonna jump out one frying pan into the other. Mauricio don't have any loyalties to Dillian White. They could care less. They will have loyalties to Andy Ruiz. If Andy Ruiz is sipping that scissor, now just so y'all casual know, this dude might have been a big blubber, a big guy. Like, I mean, he had a big middle torso, but he can box. The dude is an excellent boxer. You can almost say he'll tit for tat with Tyson. I don't even consider Tyson an excellent boxer. I consider him a guy who can box, who's big as hell, which is rare. How he's able to move. So he got good leg and feet movement. But Andy Ruiz do too, and he can box, and he is strong, and he is the favorite of the WBC top-notch people because he got the right complexion for the protection. So while you trying to avoid Dillian and jump out of that frying pan, you jumping right into another one. Tyson Fury is not gonna hold that belt long. Either Andy gonna take it off him, or he gonna drop it to avoid fighting Dillian. And once he's yesterday news, the boxing world need to keep him yesterday news. Once he's irrelevant, he need to stay irrelevant. Period. Because he's not a good representation of boxing. So I'm gonna be watching that on that segment of As Boxing Turns. Because it's really turning to be a soap opera. Let me move on. George Camboso, and this another thing that I'm going to be watching and watching and watching just to make sure we have updates and everything. George Camboso might be forced to make a match with Loma. Here's another way where a sanctioning body is interjecting or interceding into the fighter's career. You're just a body who runs the belts that you have. Like, if you're WBO, you're a sanctioning body. Your job is to hold the belt, follow your rules, and whoever's up for the title to either award the title to somebody else or, that person keeps their title. You are to collect your sanctioning fees and leave it at that. But y'all notice how over this last year, and maybe they can blame it on COVID or whatever, but how things are picking up. Things are picking up as far as them ordering fights and making shit go to purse bid. I mean, it's to the point it's almost gonna be the fighter and the sanctioning bodies. Promoters are becoming obsolete. You really don't need them. You one person in the ring fighting. This is your career. This is a sporting event. But yet everybody got more to do with that bout than the actual fighter. So like I said, George Camboso might be forced to make a fight with Lomachenko. Why? Because the WBO is going to mandate it. Now, we talked about these sanctioning bodies. The WBC carries favor or want to carry favor for Mexicans. But, it's really like Canelo and whoever he associated with, but for Mexicans. The WBA carries favor for Venezuelans or Latinos, period. But, between Latinos and anybody else, is always going to be Latinos or the highest bidder. WBO top rank. What is it? The IBF. Look, I'm gonna do this because you can't point to a promoter or a fighter or any organization where the IBF cakes for that group of people. I can't at this time, and they may, but I can't think of it. But the WBO is about to do the same thing that we don't like about the WBC and the WBA. They're inserting themselves into a controversial situation, trying to offset what's supposed to happen, what was said will happen by both fighters. They trying to stick their nose into it to try to control the narrative and push what they want. Or is it just what Bob wants? Lomachenko right now is not in the front of the line to be facing Cambosos. I don't care what they think. He's not. He took a loss to Tio. He done came back and fought a couple of people where he won, but he hasn't fought TO or above caliber fighters. He hasn't fought them yet. But somehow or another, he warrants the opportunity to go for the 3 belts or the 3 titles. How do they make that make sense? Undisputed should trump all other avenues of opportunities. You have 2 people who have a unique opportunity to become undisputed. But if the WBO gets its way, those 2 people won't have that opportunity. Devin Haney and George Kambosos are the 2 people I'm speaking of. Anybody outside of that, they should wait their turn. Devin has a piece of the puzzle. George has the majority of the puzzle. It's for them to come together or clash together, and we decide who's undisputed once and for all. Whoever wins that title is going to make history. You're going to be the first undisputed at lightweight. And if Devin wins, he's probably going to be the youngest undisputed champion ever. He's only 23 and he just turned 23. Some people, fighters, promoters, or whoever, don't want to see that happen. And if you're a boxer fan, you have to be like scratching your head. Like, why wouldn't you want to see that happen? Why wouldn't we want to see a young lion, achieve something that's rarely ever achieved or has never been achieved? Why wouldn't we want to see that as fans? So here you go, WBO. They're considering making Loma the mandatory. That idea comes from Bob pushing and pushing and pushing. Lou DiBella, who I think is the manager of George Kambosos, he has to move quickly if he desires to fight with Devin Haney. Now let's get something clear. If it's just about the business, then Lomachenko is the bad move. It's a terrible move. It's just about business and money. Because when I say business, I'm talking about money. If it's just about that, then Lomachenko is not the right move. Why? Lomachenko has never, and I repeat, never did a pay-per-view. So what metric can they be judging to see who will make more money? I don't care if Devin Haney had 5 people show up to one of his fights that was a pay-per-view. They had to pay. And there's a metric for it. Pay-per-view. I'm talking about pay-per-view, that is. Like when you buy it on TV. Sure, you can have people show up to the fight and pay the cover charge to get in the door. But we're talking pay-per-view numbers. Devin has all of that on his side. So the power move in regards to business and money is not Lomachenko, it's Devin Haney. The power move that Bob is trying to have, because Lomachenko is his fighter and he invests in him. He wants all his fighters to hold the title. That's going to guarantee, when you have the WBO, even if a fighter could think of it as, I ain't paying attention to WBO. I'm not worried about the WBO. I'm going to go over here and get these WBA, WBC, IBF. Even if fighters start that way, they know, Bob knows that eventually a fighter going to want to come for that other belt. So that means you have to come see him. So that means money, money, money on his end. So he wants to secure the bag. If Lomachenko gets the opportunity to fight George Kambosos, you ain't going to see them belts no more. You're going to have to go to Ukraine to get those damn belts. You basically are going to have to do that. Lomachenko is not going to give you a rematch. And Real talk, he's gonna beat the brakes off of George Kambosos. George Kambosos is an okay fighter. I'm not knocking him. But he cannot beat no goddamn Lomachenko. He cannot. He can't beat Devin, in my opinion. You know, he might have a chance, but in my opinion, no. Unless Devin's slipping on his pimping while he in there, then that's always the opportunity. But Loma, a healthy T.O., Tank Davis, pretty much all the top lightweights, I would say, for George. I'm not convinced in that T.O. fight that he was the goods. Nothing against him. He did well. He won fair and square. I'm not knocking him. I'm just not convinced he is the goods. So, in the end of the day, it's a bad business move for the get Loma to fight. They're gonna have to move quickly. WBO will order Kambosos to defend his WBO strap by next month. So all of this shit is going down in January, y'all. Like when they say by next month, meaning they got to start negotiation doing something, or the order will come out in next month. And if that's the case, George is not going to want to be stripped. So what is his choices? WBO sound like they trying to back him into a corner to get him to get that belt up off him. They know that George. The consensus is that as soon as George defend those titles, and that means anybody he fights, he's gonna be defending those titles. If he fight a tomato can we never heard of and all this stuff, and he know he could beat, there's nothing we can do. But if he fight these top lightweights, it's a forlorn conclusion that he's gonna lose those belts. So Bob is something else. He's trying to make sure that belt come to him. If you strip him, you can spread out the belts. And but again, if Loma fight him, it ain't gonna just be for the WBO. That's how Loma gonna get his foot in the door. It's gonna be for all those belts. So then I go back to the Tyson Fury thing. How can Tyson Fury say I'm gonna have a fight, but not for the belt that I have? You see what I'm saying? See how people just make up rules. And another thing, like with these sanctioning bodies, when you see your colleague erring on the side of falsehood, why don't y'all speak up? Meaning you, WBO, see the fugaziness in the WBC, but you never have nothing to say. In WBC, you see the fugaziness with some of the things the WBO do, and you have nothing to say. Why y'all don't say? Why they don't say nothing? Because they don't want nobody to say nothing to them when they doing what they doing. They turning a blind eye because they know it's all, they not getting away. What they respecting is each other power moves. None of them bust the grape. None of them hitting the heavy bag or in that gym making shit happen. None of them running those miles doing that road work. But I be damned, you would think that they doing something by all this pull that they got. We all say WBO is top ranked belt. WBO is inserting themselves, like I say, into the fight game, taking decisions out of the fighter's hand, even though it's not their career. And that's the bottom line. That's the part of it that we should be sick of. Jake Gibson is in the building, was popping king. That's the part of this whole mess that we should be sick of. It's how these sanctioning bodies insert themselves in to create the narrative that they want, to push the fights that they want, to orchestrate the winners who they want. And we should all be upset. Jay Gibson says, salute Miss T and the fam. Salute King. But I already showed you, if it's about the money, then who Kambosos need to fight. If it's really about the money, now think about this. Devin Haney has the other piece of the puzzle. So you beat him, you are undisputed. No questions. And if it's just about the money, then he's the right choice too, because you're gonna make more with him than anybody else. Now you can make an argument about Tank, but Tank is not even an option. Tank has an injury. He's not even an option. And even if he was, Tank don't give a damn about these belts. It used to be if you achieve the hardware, you can achieve the fanfare, which gonna bring you the higher prize. There's a shift in that. Tank has shown you don't even need the hardware. You're gonna be a boxer, you can have an undefeated record, you're gonna be beating people up and all this stuff, and you're gonna become a millionaire. But in the end of the day, what they gonna put on your ledger as far as the paperwork or whatever when you're trying to be in the boxing hall of fame. And I'm gonna tell you, if anybody do this type of work for some years on, you want to go into the hall of fame. You understand? I don't know anybody who put a lot of effort into something and they don't want the all the pros and they got to take the cons, but they want the pros with it too. They want all the bells and whistles that come with being a boxer. Part of that is your legacy, like your record. It ain't just about being undefeated. Like what have you achieved? I always make the analogy between football and boxing. If you're a football player, you're gonna have to play the season. Then you're gonna have to play in the playoffs. And then you're gonna have to, come down to the final teams. They're gonna weed everybody out till they get to the final two. And then you going for the Super Bowl. You're gonna get the trophy. You're gonna probably get a bonus in your check. All kinds of good stuff and goodies. You're gonna get a grab bag full of goodies. And you're gonna get a Super Bowl ring. And once you get that, nobody can take that from you. Well, sorry, my back itch. Same thing about boxing. Why wouldn't you want to be a champion? Just because you undefeated and you don't have any belts, don't make you a champion. You have to be a champion. Like you have to achieve these belts. But with them, doing all that extracurricular, they making it difficult for somebody to have an honest, straightforward boxing career. So, but if it is a setup, then Loma would get the deal. And that's how I feel. It's gonna be a setup. They're gonna force his hand. If Loma get the deal, it was all a setup. That's just how I'm gonna look at it. It was a setup. It's like playing chess. They playing chess all day long. Loma has no he's not in front of the line. I ain't gonna say he has no right to fight Cambosa, but he's not in the front of the line. You gotta get in line, dog. You behind Devin. Or you behind some other folks, but you definitely behind Devin. And if Cambosos is smart, he will work with Devin Haney. Now, that whole thing about telling him to sell his jewelry, maybe that's the way to pump up the fight. To get the juices flowing, to get people talking about it or whatever. Maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know. But I'm anxious to hear his conclusion. Because I do distinctly remember them saying that we'll talk about the process of getting this fight together after you finish your fight. Like this is Cambosos to Devin. He finished his fight. It was a minute ago. So y'all haven't even broke bread once. What we waiting on? Super Bros X. Love your work. Keep grinding, Queen. Thank you. Welcome to the building. And that's how I see it. So y'all be on the lookout for that in this another segment yet again of As Boxing Turns. And that's just a little update between Andy Ruiz and George Cambosos. And that's all we can do. The rest of this month, I mean, we right at the end of the year. So the rest of this month, it ain't much to talk about. Other than, just going by or reiterating some things or talking about fights that may have happened. You probably on your cable channels are watching reruns of old fights or whatever that happened this year. And that's cool too. But get ready for next year because it's a lot that got to happen. So let's start off with this. We got to have that AJ Usyk rematch so that shit can be settled. Now, mind you, they had a fight in September. April will make 6 months. Do they need this long? If you know you're going to do a rematch, why is it taking this long? I thought the camps were like 2 months. Be on the lookout for that because that has to happen. The reason why we got to be interested in that fight is because we got to follow those belts. We got to follow the belts. We might not like the fighters themselves, but we got to follow those belts. Some of you are AJ fans. That's cool. I'm not. Some of you are Usyk fans. That's cool. I'm not. I'm not a fan. I mean, I don't dislike Usyk. I got a problem with AJ. And I don't hate him though. But I has a problem with him. But Usyk, no, I don't have a problem. He's new to the scene. I think that he's not gonna hold his belt forever. We gotta watch what Tyson Fury does. We gotta listen to everything that he says. Him and Taco Meat are supposed to get it on. He comes off right now like he's scared to fight Taco Meat. Maybe he feel like I've showed all my tricks in the bag. Because when Deontay and Tyson fought, the whole world was watching. When Tyson fight these no names or people we have never heard of, he cheating in. We just don't see it because ain't nobody paying attention to it. But he done had 3 fights with Deontay. He had to show a lot. We know all this foolery, and we know that he's the type of person that can be real creative when it comes to cheating. So we following the belt, not necessarily Tyson. If Tyson put on a pay-per-view and his opponent is not named Deontay Wilder, I doubt if anybody gonna buy it. Bob don't want to see that. Then y'all gotta ask yourself, if Loma and Tyson work for Bob, why are they never on ESPN Plus? And just to show you, in my opinion, why I be saying it's a black thing with Bob. Okay, did Marcus Brown just have a fight? On where? ESPN Plus. That's not a device friendly app. I mean, it really ain't. Not to me. I think most people, especially the older you get, you want to click a button and boom, it's there. And it can be that simple. But Tyson Fury don't fight on ESPN Plus, but he worked for the same guy. You got to start saying why. Jay Gibson said WBC, some shit, I really dislike them. Yeah. Jay, I think they are most corrupt of them all. Yeah, I do too. They blatant with their shit and they get away with it. At least the WBA was like, whoa, Kimo Simon, let me roll back. Let me throw them a bone or something. Mr. Cantone, like a true mafia boss, he don't give a damn. But you have to ask. This is what I ask myself. It's an honest question. Why Bud fights had to be on ESPN Plus? Now, some people would be like, you're a Bud fan. You heard him say what he thought about the app and how it wasn't, user friendly. So now that's going to be the excuse. It's not an excuse. It's a good question. If Bob was trying to launch ESPN Plus, and he got the top fighters like Tyson Fury, Lomachenko, and he had Bud, and whoever else he had, Valpez, and all them motherfuckers. He got all these people. Why, when only the black fighters fight, do you got to go to ESPN Plus? Does anybody ever ask that question? Because I ask all the time, like, hmm? Jay Gibson said, I agree. Look what happened with Bud. His last fight under top rank on the app. Yeah. They put his, yeah, I got you. I got you, King. Yeah. And then if we say, oh, maybe it's just Bud, or maybe it was supposed to be Bud's app, period. Since when do Bob give people anything? That's Bob's app. Now, he created a business, he wanted it to be successful, but then you sabotage your own success. If you wanted it to be all that, then you would have made sure that your favorite fighter, Lomachenko, talking about Bob's favorite guy, was on ESPN Plus, but you didn't. You didn't do it. Lomachenko is never on ESPN Plus, and I don't want to hear about. Well, he's just on regular Fox or ESPN. He is not pay per view. Guess what? Marcus Brown and Better BF was not pay per view. It was just on ESPN Plus. You know what I'm saying? Zlo 789, welcome to the building. He said church is better than KFC. Church is better than KFC. But you gotta ask that. That's not lost on me. And I was like, damn, Lord and Comey, wow, Tyson, what, why, what? Tyson Fury, all you had to do is hit the button on your cable channel. It'll pop right up. That's the big guy, right? That's the creme de la creme. That's the top heavyweight. Heavyweight reigns supreme over all divisions, right? Tyson Fury is the top dog, right? Why he ain't on ESPN Plus? Surely, with all the fans he got, ESPN Plus was skyrocket. Oh, the business of it all. Loma, with all the fans he has, because it makes more sense for Loma to fight that Cambosos, because that's where the money at, right? Surely, if you put him on ESPN Plus would have been a big entity. It is skyrocketed. No, it is where Bob sends people that he want to control and don't let them blow up. Thank you, Jace. Jay Gibson said at slow 789, hit the like button. Thank you. Yes, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I'm just throwing it out there, y'all. This is the end of the year. Going into the next year, we gotta have our thinking caps on. Remember that old saying? You gotta have your thinking caps on. We gotta be ready for the fugaziness. The whole thing with Tyson, this whole thing. I'm not gonna fight for my WBC belt. Who else get to do that? When you casuals start watching boxing, y'all have to look at the rules and regulations and see if they're applicable across the board. If they not, your red flag should go up in your head and say, there's some tomfoolery going on. You cannot have a fight and have a belt and the belt ain't on the line. Nobody gets that. Tyson Fury, lying ass, shouldn't get it neither. But we're going to see if the WBC let that go down. Then you can already know it's all a setup. It's all a setup. West Interval, what's up? Is in the building. What's up, Ashanti? Ashanti. Oh, Miss T. That's what I go by. Is Ashanti in here? But that's how you know. You have to, one of these things don't look like the other. That's the song you have to start singing. One of these things don't look like the other. And when you're dealing with these sanctioning bodies, but I say this, I go on other people's shows and say this too. If you really want to affect change with these sanctioning bodies, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have lawyer. I have like accountants in my family and things of that nature, maybe some medical folks, but I don't have any lawyers. God, I wish we did. But they are nonprofit organizations. And when you become a nonprofit organization, you basically doing that for tax purposes. You're not going to be held accountable for taxes like every other organization or entity. When you do business in America, you have to pay American taxes. Remember Pacquiao was in trouble with the IRS? He's not even a citizen. He's from Philippines. So how can him being from Philippines have issues with the IRS from the United States? Because he made his money here. You have to pay taxes when you do business in the United States. So if you're going to say you have a nonprofit organization, but you run it like a profit organization, that's a problem. And trust me, the IRS wants to know that. Slow 789, she more like Beyonce. Who? Who y'all talking about? Yeah, Shanti and y'all got your private conversation. Okay. Um, at West Interval, hit the like button. And who is Ashanti? That's what I was saying. But yeah, so y'all gotta think on terms like that. They are not paying their proper taxes. It's almost like they basically just running the business like they make it more than what they claim. In other words, you know what I'm saying? Nonprofits can get yanked real easy, real easy. That whole fucking WBC sanctioning body could be taken away from Mauricio Suleiman and give it to somebody else to pick up because they are a subsidiary. All the sanctioning body belts are a subsidiary from whatever was the norm in the beginning in America, like the NABF or I can't remember those acronyms, but they're subsidiaries of that, right? So if you if they take it from him, it don't mean that the belt has to go away. Somebody else would just pick up the reins. Oh, he said, we talking about you, sweetie. Thank you for the compliment, but I think y'all went a little too far with Beyonce and Ashanti. I don't know. I don't think I look like them. But it's okay. I'll take a compliment. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so you just because y'all take their what you call them away, it doesn't mean that it goes by the wayside. It just means they won't get the running no more. Somebody else can get the running. And it's probably one of those entities where you do have to have money. You do have to have you have to be a rich person. You can't be a regular Joe just walking up saying, "Hey, can y'all elect me as the president of the WBC?" You have to have some play money with you, you know what I'm saying? Or some pocket change before you come into that type of realm. But we can cut that all off at the knees. And trust me, when they got IRS problems, they ain't gonna want no other kind of problems. Nose gonna be clean as shit. That means that's gonna be good for the other fighters. You know what I'm saying? She talking boxing, y'all trolling. Okay. Thank you, Jay. Sir Ant Bo. Salute, salute. Welcome to the building. So I always recommend drop down. Do we have any loyalties to Mauricio Suleiman, aka Mr. Cantone? Do we have any loyalties to him that I'm not aware about? I don't have no loyalties to him. Since he been in our country, he been discriminating against. He been taking away people's civil liberties. That is the pursuit of happiness. Because if boxing is your thing, that's your pursuit of happiness. It's also how you're gonna feed your family. You getting in the way of that. You're discriminating. Equal opportunity laws. You know, taxes. You're avoiding taxes from our United States government. I can't avoid taxes. Why the fuck can Mr. Cantone avoid taxes? When is anybody gonna hit them up that way? When is anybody gonna hit them up that way? It would be I wouldn't and see this is the problem with rich people, in my opinion. When y'all start having nothing to do to the point that you gotta go out of your way to put your boot on somebody smaller, and not in size or anything, but like in class, or if you want to call it class, or like how much money they got. When you preoccupy your time with trying to oppress or suppress somebody that's smaller than you monetarily, then something wrong with you. Because the people that don't have money like you do, and people who don't have businesses like you do, we could care less what y'all do and get away with as far as making money. Don't fuck with our shit. You feel me? If you don't mess with our shit, we won't mess with y'all shit. When you're inserting yourself into these fighters' career and doing like what the WBO trying to do with Lomachenko, trying to put him ahead of the line, you're fucking with Devin Haney's money. You're fucking with his legacy. You're kind of fucking with George's too, because you want to take what he got all to bow down to fucking Lomachenko. We don't care if y'all want to make him number one forever and all this shit. Nobody would care. But stop fucking with their shit. That's what you got to stop doing. It's when the elite keep making laws, policy, or making it difficult for the rest of us, by interfering in what we do best or what we got going on. At Jay Gibson, you probably listened to Will Smith. I don't know what this is. But yeah. And that's what the sanctioning bodies are doing. They ain't did no road work, hit no body bags. Not body bags, but the heavy bags. They ain't do no speed bag. They ain't do no work in the gym. But yet, it's all about them. I suggest again, call your congressman. You're not gonna get to talk to them. It's an easy way to pick up. You can find the number, Google it. You got to know who your congressman is. Call him or her. Their secretary gonna answer. Leave a message. Drop down. Make him act right. If we all collectively do that, I wonder what change we're gonna see. You definitely gonna get some act right. Because if the IRS is on my ass, I'm not thinking about you or nobody else. I'm thinking about giving them good, clean books to look at and review my whatever so I can get out this hot water or pay them off or whatever so I can survive this. Because when they come down with their rulings, it's swift and hard. You know what I'm saying? And Mauricio is blatantly disobeying American rules, and we should hold his ass accountable to it. And it's gonna help future boxers, white, black, yellow, purple. It don't even matter who it help. It should help Americans. Don't come to this country with your rah-rah. The WBO headquarters is in Puerto Rico. They are part of the US, but shit, they might as well be Central America or motherfucking Brazil or some shit. Slow 789 he's laughing, said homie said Will Smith. So that's all I was saying, you guys. That's all I was saying. If we want the sanctioning bodies to stop inserting themselves, we gotta call them on that bullshit. You just telling them, "Oh, we see you making rules for this person, but not that person." They don't care about that because they've been blatant about everything else. But if we be like, IRS, you know this guy named Mauricio Suleiman, he has a sanctioning body, WBC sanctioning body. He's the president, CEO of. He's getting tax breaks for running a nonprofit, but he's really running a for-profit business. What say y'all? What say you about that? And the IRS gonna be like, you do, he do, you don't say. Let us look into it. Your work is done, and you can back off and be like, just sit back and eat the popcorn and wait for the explosion. At West Interval, you probably dressed like Carlton Banks. He said, damn. Okay, I don't know what's going on tonight up in here. But I did try to reserve Wednesdays for UFC talk. Anybody wants the UFC talk, I put the link in the chat. I'll do it again. Because I'm gonna take my journey on trying to learn and understand the UFC or the MMA. I never really watched it. So I'm gonna try to. While I'm waiting for somebody to learn us, in other news, Keith Thurman says he is fighting 3 times this year. We got to hold Keith to that. Now, this is where I'm going to start actually checking what Keith saying. I'm still a fan of Keith Thurman. To me, he only lost 1 fight. He's still a top welterweight. So I'm still a fan, but we're going to hold him to what he's saying. In the year 2022, he's going to do 3 fights. Why? He said he want to do it to make up for lost time. You know, all the stuff that a lot of people are angry with him. I mean, we know what it looked like. I know it's some extracurricular reasons why people don't like him, and I can't rock with those reasons. But he, by not fighting and pulling out stuff and not sticking to what you say or even trying to explain all the way through, you do look crazy in these boxing streets, Keith. So, you know, it is what it is. One time fighting, one time. Watch. We're gonna see, sir. We're gonna see. And then slow 789 is laughing. We're gonna see. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. We're gonna see. Because again, it's just my opinion. And I ain't saying this with hate, y'all. I think a lot of people don't like Keith because Earl don't like him. And I'm not blaming Earl for that. Earl don't like him. Earl has the right not to like him. But I think that's where it come from. And I can't dislike somebody because somebody don't like them. I have to have a more reason than that. Y'all got me fucked up. What's in them? So he's coming off a 31-month layoff. His fight is with Mario Barrios is gonna be February 5th. And fight is in Las Vegas at the Michelob Ultra Arena. And then what he claims is that he's not injured anymore. So he should be good to go. I believe he did have injuries in the beginning. But again, I don't dislike him because the crowd dislike him. I mean, I need something more. I asked myself why Barrios, and I don't think somebody exactly asked him that, but we know it's a tune-up fight because he kind of said, "Hey, I want Terrence. Wait 8 months. I'm gonna do a tune-up, and then I'm gonna come for you." So we know kind of Barrios is new to the division. You don't want to jump on somebody like Boots or Virgil or something like that. Damn sure you really don't want to jump on Spence and Bud. But Keith prefers between Bud and Spence, he prefers the Spence. He think that's a bigger fight. And Keith is still a name. And when he put asses in the seat, he has never not put the asses in the seat in all of his career. Like in the latter part of his career, he still put asses in the seat. So he's a worthwhile fighter. But I feel him if he been off 31 months, then he need a tune-up. And so Barrios is going to serve that purpose. Now you have to ask Barrios why Keith. And Barrios could feel like, why not? He cannot make 140 pounds anymore. And if he's going to come up to 147, you again don't want to jump on the hot ticket items right away because you'll be finished before you start. He said, I agree. Said Thurman dope. Yeah. So that's what's going down with them. It ain't much, in news. We got I was gonna give y'all the schedule too that's coming up. Got a lot of fights in January. But don't forget this weekend we have Ortiz versus Martin on Fox Sports Fight TV January 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got Smith Jr. versus Johnson, ESPN, January 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got Russell Jr., Gary Russell Jr. versus Max Sayo. He's out the Pacquiao camp. That's going to be on Showtime January 22nd at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got Chris Eubanks Jr. versus Williams on Sky Sports January 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got Clarissa Shields versus Kazan on Sky Sports Fight TV January 29th at 2 p.m. also Eastern Standard Time. Consecal versus Martinez, ESPN, January 29th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Ramirez versus Jose Pedraza, ESPN Plus, February 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you have the Thurman versus Barrios, February 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Amir Khan and Kell Brooks, Sky Sports, February 19th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Taylor versus Catterall, Sky Sports, ESPN Plus, February 26th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's like, I guess when I was talking about Bob putting different people on ESPN, with Terrence is gone. He's gone. So I see that he putting at the other undisputed, like these are your top guys. Why are you putting them on that fucking app? I don't know. Sir says Keith should be Buzz Mandy. Nah, I don't agree with you, sir, on that one. Keith don't agree. Keith don't want to come to him first. And Bud don't. I think that Bud, Ugas, and Spence need to only concentrate on those three. They only need to worry about each other. They on a mission. And to look backwards, sideways, or anything else is potentially derailing the mission. So Bud just had a fight. Just had a fight. It ain't even. It's barely a month. He just had a fight. EJ will have his. We don't have a date, but I'm assuming EJ's fight is going to be real soon. But somebody I think Conor Loco said that he predicted that they will probably meet up in September. I'm tending to agree with him. And for me, if Buzz sits out till September, I don't care. I don't care. I particularly will not care if he's able to sit out till September. Now, if he fights somebody else, that's on him. It's his career. He can do what he wants. But those three are on a mission. I didn't agree with Ugas having to be in the box off neither. I felt like they should have left him alone and let him make the fight he wanted to make, which I was quite sure it was either going to be Bud or Spence because they the only two with the belts. I just really believe the people with the belts is we getting to a point where it's a unique opportunity for there to be an undisputed welterweight. We getting to a point where there could be we are at the point where there could be an undisputed lightweight and a 154 pounder junior middleweight or super welterweight. I mean, that's good for boxing, right? You got lightweight. We already got an undisputed at junior welterweight. We got a potential to have a undisputed at welterweight and a potential to have undisputed at super welterweight. 4 in a row. That's history right there. I would love to see all of that happen at the same time. If it's Earl Spence, so be it. If he was the one who take home the prize and he become undisputed, I'm cool. If it's Bud, I'm cool. I'm a little bit more happy if it's Bud because I'm a big fan of Bud's. But either way, I'm cool. No hate. If Devin gets his opportunity, I'm sure he would make history. I'm anxious to see that. So, I mean, that's just how it is. Well, I had put the link in the chat. How far ago? When did I? Let me see. Yeah, I did. I did put the link in the chat. I guess it's kind of slow today. Again, I'm gonna reserve Wednesdays for outside of boxing talk. We can talk about MMA and stuff like that. I'm starting my journey and trying to become a fan of that. It was just too vulgar for me to watch, so now I'm gonna try actually and get with the program. And I know we got some of my followers. They actually look at those type of shows and they can help me out. Tell me where to start off so I can learn the moves and the rules and the regulations. I'm sure I pick it up fast, but don't stop me on the gory stuff first. But thank you guys for coming in, and I will see y'all tomorrow. But remember, when you know better, you do better, right? Um, so it's not gonna be much news. We at the end of the year, so we have to get real creative. Most of the stuff that we'll be talking about is updates. Updates. So as boxing turns, but when you know better, you do better. Peace.